Finsweet. After some crazy technical difficulties on Tuesday, we've reformatted all the computers and everything is back and running. So we are back with another episode. Hello and thanks to everyone for joining us. Eunice in the house, Victor Crew, Ariel T, Matt Evans, Magdalena. We've got a bunch of folks hanging with us in the crowd, and we expect that to grow as we go. In the audience today, we've got some new faces. So, of course, my name is Reimar. I've got Joe Krug sitting here. As always, we host the show, and then we rotate the designers throughout. And so today we've got Uros from Flow Ninjas in the bottom right corner of your screen, and making his first Finsweet live appearance, the one and only Rohan is in your bottom left corner. He's the person we've teased in the background. You've heard us saying his name. You've heard us, just mentioning him as a kind of behind the scenes producer, and he's a key piece of the Finsweet team. And so we're bringing him front and center today. So help us welcome Rohan. You want to say a quick word, and then we'll let Uros say a little hello here.
Hey everyone, I'm Rohan. I take care of operations at Finsweet and do a whole bunch of stuff like SEO, automation, project management, product development, and love working every day at Finsweet. It is different every single day. Thanks.
That's it. Nice. And then Uros, say hello, introduce yourself a little bit. What's up?
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm the founder of Flow Ninja. I'm actually the winner of the ugliest website by Finsweet. Not sure how proud can I be of that, but yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, here at Flow Ninja, we...
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we kind of build Webflow templates, work for a lot of client projects, and yeah, that's just doing good stuff.
Nice. Yeah, if you didn't know what he was talking about there, we did a like an ugly sweater party, but it was an ugly website party. So last year, as a Christmas / holiday party at the end of the year, we got a bunch of people together for like an hour-long speed building thing where we just built the ugliest websites we could build, and it was a lot of fun. But Joe, you want to say hi to the folks today before we get into this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I feel like we had a big, long break after the Tuesday issue. So I'm super, super excited to get into this live show here.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so before we get too far into this, let's remind the audience how it all works.
Check it out.
Okay, so here's how it works. Each week, the Webflow community will submit websites for us to critique. Members of the Finsweet team, along with guest judges, will get 5 minutes to review each selected site live on air. The judges, along with members of the audience, will then have 45 seconds to submit their scores before we reveal the overall rating for each website and share our final thoughts. Welcome to Critique by Finsweet.
Okay, boom. So there we go. We are in the obligatory judges position here. The clock is ready to be set. Rohan, are you still running the we didn't ask that beforehand. Are you still running the crowd scoring or what? Are you going to keep
yeah, I can do the crowd scoring, no problem.
The crowd scoring. Okay, cool. All right. So, let's get 5 minutes on the clock, and then who's going to walk us through this first one? Joe's got the first website today, so let's go ahead and get 5 minutes on the clock. Let's pop the first URL up on the screen here and send it whenever you're ready, Joe.
Great. This site is nice and simple, really clear. We have a really clear call to action and what this company is: authentic Greek products, authentic taste. The first thing that comes to mind is I need more visuals. We have these beautiful graphics of the bottles. We have this beautiful graphic of the product. And every time I see them, it's too small. These are the first things coming to my mind. Simple, but not visual enough. So, designer here, you absolutely nailed the title text. You nailed the simplicity of this layout and how everything is presented. But I want everything visual to be 50% larger. In the hero, in the sliders, in the Cretan nectar, all the way through this homepage, everything bigger. That's really what I'm looking for here. And with that being bigger, I think the product is going to be a lot more attractive. That the label design is nice. the product looks nice and I want to see that and I want to feel that. A lot of people are making decisions on food based on the label and based on how the product works. So that's really the reason for that type of comment. And I did find something a bit weird. The amount of blues. So obviously this is a blue-based company. We see the gradient in the logo, but on the home page, I'm seeing a whole bunch of different blues here. The shop now call to action is one blue. We have the section just below the hero, a different type of blue. The border around that section, a different blue. The background of the section just below that, a different blue. And then when we go further down the page, we're just adding more blues to this. So my recommendation is to pick 2 of them and run with 2 of them, maybe 3. But right now I'm looking at what seems to be 4 or 5 different blue shades.
Yeah.
And that's the real heart of my comments here.
Yeah, Rohan, what are your thoughts here? It looks like Uros is maybe having some internet issues. So let's jump to Rohan for his thoughts on this.
Sure. Yeah. The first thing I notice is the favicon of the website, and it's still the default Webflow icon. So I would suggest to update that. And then scrolling down, we've got this box with 3 slides in there, but the 3 slider dots, the nav dots, are not very visible. So I think that plays negative in terms of accessibility, and the user can't know if there are 3 slides or 4 slides. And then the next thing is the same component here, I guess, has an inner shadow. So it kind of gives me a boxy feel. And the website is built using divs, but I don't want to have an appearance of everything being a box in a box in a box. So I would recommend to perhaps remove that inner shadow. And then scrolling all the way down to the sign up section, I like the website, the design, but the monthly newsletter, it kind of seems forgotten. And we have all of these bold font styles everywhere, but the monthly newsletter does not have that weight. And so does the little paragraph that goes underneath it. And then finally, I think the footer could have had lesser padding. I just feel like there's too much space there, which is probably not needed. I don't need the footer to cover half my screen when there's not a whole lot of information on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, those are great thoughts. Uros, what are you thinking here as you see this?
Yeah, so in general, I kind of get a feeling that it's kind of halfway done. Like you can see that, even in doesn't have the 5 icon on the top of the screen, so it kind of lacks that whole polish feeling. That I kind of agree with all of the previous comments that were there. I kind of really like the Greek products, so it's kind of hard for me to kind of say anything bad for the website. I kind of feels like that it needs that 30-40% of the last kind of push in order to get everything in tip-top shape.
Yeah. I tend to agree with what most of y'all have said. I will also point out that the different sizes of the font, there's so many different font sizes, even in the headlines, right? So you've got this big fat, H1, then you've got this little guy here, it's maybe like an H2, and then you go back to like an H1, and then there's like I don't know if there's an H3 here. This looks a little different than even these again. And then this one is even different. This is a different size than even this one or this one, and so like there's all these different headline sizes here. And Rohan, even going to your point on the monthly newsletter, it's like even a different headline size here. And so I think that would just bring a little consistency to it. And Joe, I tend to agree with you. Kai and Jay and some of the other folks in the stream here are saying the images could be a little bigger too. And so I think, again, like these are beautiful products. Like, why not blow that up half the size of this monitor here? Why not make this bottle take up the whole, third of the screen or something here, and really like let me get close and tight on that thing. So, okay, that's 5 minutes. What's up here, Rohan? You're actually on the stream this time, so go ahead and open up the voting score for the public And if you're hanging out watching with us, feel free to open up the scorecard. Did we share the scorecard with the crew? Let me see. Audience scorecard. Let me copy
I just
that
did.
link.
Yeah.
You just linked it in the link. Okay, perfect. So audience, the scorecard is available to all of you. Let's get 45 seconds on the clock for the judges of the website. Flair is going to be interactions and what draws you in, right? Does a site pull you in? Does it make you want to explore and look deeper? And then usability is going to be how easy it is to navigate the site. So just a real quick recap of what we're looking for on those scores there. We do have all the judges' scores in. You got about 7 more seconds if you're in the crowd, ready to pull this together here. Any final thoughts from the judges? Okay, let me pull the scores over here. Let's take a look. As always, we start with the lowest score first. And on this one, that happened to be, me. Okay, so I got the low score with the 4.75 on this one. We go next to Uros with the 5.50. Rohan and Joe are tied here with the 5.75, which gives us a combined judges average of 5.44. The crowd is just underneath that at 4.25, which gives us a combined total score of 5.20 for the ZOI Authentic Greek Products. So the natural ZOI site is a 5.20. It's a respectable opening score for the show here. So let's go ahead and jump out of that. Thoughts, overviews, general, any little moments there you want to recap? Any final takeaway for the site before we pull up the next one?
Love the simplicity. Even with all the comments that we made, that site was simple. It was clear. There needs to be more work done to it to take it to the next level. But I don't see that as a bad site. I could have bought those products. Yeah,
and it's a great starting point. A lot of times you get wrapped up thinking you got to have this perfect, V3 website to go live. Hey, maybe you just got to get something up. You start selling some products, you start making a little money, then you can start investing back into making the website, take that next step. So what say you all, crowd here? Let's see. I'd love to see a ton of upping res, average quality images for sure. Jay and Kai are going back and forth about image compressing there and how to get some of those images bigger. So, okay, let's pull the scores. Let's go to the next site. We're going to look at goodgarms.com. So I'll share that in the comment real quick, and we'll pull that up on the website. We'll go ahead and load this up. Let's get 5 minutes on the clock. And this one is being walked through by Uros. This is you. Send it.
Sure. So yeah, let me reload this. So yeah, I really like what I see here, like in terms of the design, like it really looks nice. The only thing that I'm kind of lacking here is a little bit of the story, just because you have kind of good grams and then you have all of the products here kind of just shown, while kind of when you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see what's the website actually about. As kind of, I guess me also, I'm buying stuff more for the brand. I would love to see a little bit more story behind what's the website, just because I'm not sure kind of what are they kind of reselling the products, or this is their own brand, or kind of what's happening on that end. Then in terms of kind of the cards and everything like that, it's pretty nifty that you're kind of having two different images. Maybe it would be good that every single time you see a completely different view of the image, just because right now for some of them, like you see a hoodie without a second image. Sometimes you see a person with a second image. But yeah, I mean, like the images are great. So this is just kind of nitpicking. And maybe even this is maybe Finsweet filters on the side. We'll never know, I guess. So yeah, moving forward, I'm not quite sure. Anything else is pretty, I mean, like, as I said, the story is pretty great here. And up to the footer, you even have the FAQs and everything. Yeah, so it would be, for me, like the biggest comment would be like, I don't think I have any design concerns. It would be more in terms of the story and like kind of what's the website in general for, instead of kind of just going ahead and showcasing the products straight away on the homepage.
Yeah. Joe, what are you thinking as you look through this thing?
Well, I can confirm that this is CMS library Finsweet filtering. It's nice, it's snappy, excellent implementation, great pagination. So I'm a big fan of that. I think this is a great site. What I'm looking more for is more contrast. When we get to the get the goods call to action sign up just below the products, I love it. I love this green contrast behind these more light pastel type colors. And I want to see more of that. I want to see more of this contrast, whether it's with call to actions or sections or text, because I think that's really it's helping brand this site and brand the company. And without that green contrast, I think it feels a little plain. I'm a big fan of the spacing and the clarity here, that everything feels, as we love to say, clean. And the way I'm thinking about this is it doesn't feel like there's too much spacing anywhere or too little spacing everywhere. It feels very natural to me. So great job with this. Really cool. I'm also going to agree with Uros that I have to know a little bit more about what's going on before I see those products. Doesn't have to be a whole landing page, doesn't have to be a whole section, but something. You know, I clicked through the site and it looks like this is a really important company and they're doing really cool things. I want to see a little bit more of that than just the scrolling titles in the hero. Great job on this.
Great. All right, Rohan, what are you thinking?
So I love the hero, the fact that there is this moving text, and that makes the user want to stay onto the website, which is, I believe, a great SEO benefit because the user is now spending more time on the web page. Next, as we scroll down, and so my personal preference is to have the filters as a sticky element and a scroll bar within it, because when you start selecting the filters and then you need to scroll down, there's a whole bunch of white space onto the right side. And that could have been eliminated if the filtering system was a sticky component. Then my final comment would be that all of the products here, they have a different currency. I see pound, I see euros, I see dollars. So perhaps having a consistent currency would be great for user experience. Apart from that, I really love the website. It's so clean and I love the colors. Yeah,
that's a good catch. I hadn't even realized the different currencies. I wonder if maybe certain items can't be found in certain markets, or you can't buy them in certain markets or something like that. But that's a good point to catch there. I tend to agree with the general contrast comment that you made before, Joe. I want to see a little bit more pop on this website just in general. I do like, the time it takes to take the photos of each product. And so, it takes a little bit of time to do this. But I agree with Uros too, where the consistency, some of them don't have, like this one, you just go to a sweater versus the second one. So again, nitpicking a little bit, I think the design is overall pretty strong on this. And yeah, I think you all kind of hit the nail on the head. So let's see. Feels organic, which is a good choice. Let's be clear, even though Joe says not too much space, not too little. Clean equals space. Yeah, Peter, that's part of it for sure. So okay, that's 5 minutes. Judges, let's get that scorecard opened up for the crowd here. Let's get 45 seconds on the clock. And again, we're looking for the design, we're looking for the story scores, we're looking for the flair, and we're looking for the usability score. And I think this site's gonna do okay, although it's fairly simple. I don't think any of these design criteria require the site to be complex. So any other thoughts from the judges while you're throwing in your scores here?
Yeah, so I went ahead to the product page itself after this. So it kind of has some arrows that are white, and there are some images that have pretty low contrast. So you can't really notice that is a slider. So that is like one of the things that can be improved.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's 45 seconds. So let's get this back up here and let's take a look at the scores. As always, we start with the lowest score and move up from there. And the lowest score, we got a tie for low scores. Okay, we got Joe and myself at 6.25. So opening scores at 6.25. Up there we go to Uros with a 7.0, and Rohan gives us a 7.75. That gives us a 6.81 judges average. And I'm wondering here on the crowd scores, give me one sec. Okay. Okay, we've got a low crowd score on this one. I'm wondering if that carried over from the last score or not. This seems a little low on the crowd side here, but 4.83. Okay, crowd took it a little rough on the site here, but the combined total score of 6.42. So there you go, 6.42 for the goodgarms.com website. Any final thoughts here before we move on to the next one? Okay. The next site is going to be MathiasCortis.com. So let's go here, MathiasCortis.com. Let's get that shared into the chat. Boom. Okay. And then I think, am I walking this one? I think I'm walking this one. Yeah, this one's me. So let's get 5 seconds or 5 minutes on the clock here. And let's do it. I'll walk through. Let me refresh the site just to see if there's any cool little opening interactions here. High converting websites for fast growing technology startups. All right, Mathias is starting out with a little personal touch. You got his face right big front and center there. Okay, buttons are kind of clear. Everything's wide open here. Little color change. That was okay. Did that? Okay, so the color background change is there. When you do color backgrounds like that mid scroll, I kind of like to see the whole thing change. This would be so clean, so much cleaner if, as this color comes in here, this other color, also faded to match the same color, and then you lost that hard break, right? When you do some of those color transitions, in my mind, I don't know if we're just scrolling, something's showing up underneath there that it would just be nice if the other white turned to the same color. It would just feel a little bit more like refined. I think a little bit more like thought out. Local community, Dev Connect, Watercard. This is a little airy, right? So we like spacing, but this feels a little aired out. And I see what's happening here is the background just kind of changes as I scroll through the sections, which I like. But again, when I see those color changing backgrounds, I kind of don't want to see the hard lines separating them. So this would be nice if the backgrounds are just changing and I don't see lines between the projects, and you could bring these projects a little closer so that they're tighter together. Because right now this feels a little disconnected. It's a little too open for me. And while it's easy to read, while it's nice and wide open, it just doesn't really give me the unity I'd like to see, because I'm seeing almost a full screen of white between I get to the next section here. And okay, we're back to this. This is great. I do like the personalized images, so I like seeing the person there. I like seeing Mathias. Testimonials, okay, that's great. And even this feels a little lackluster. This seems like it's almost a stock form element. You know, this could be just styled a little bit. Give me a little bit of splash, you know, a little. This is your call to action here, right? So like, what happens when I click Let's Talk? Does it just scroll me down to the bottom of the page, or no, it opens up another page on a call? Okay, it takes me to a Calendly link. Okay, I'm not mad at that. That's fine. All right, so let's jump on. Let's go to Rohan. What are you thinking here as you see this? What are your first thoughts?
I really like the website, very clean. I love websites with images of the web designers, but it also feels a bit templatey. And when you hover over the buttons or maybe the nav links, the effect is so little. I'm afraid that might have an issue with accessibility. So perhaps there could be some other sort of an animation there. And then every section where it features the project, the view project, again, that's CTA, or it's not inviting me to click onto that. So maybe making that bigger or putting a different color could help it. And I can see that there is a difference in the top padding and the bottom padding, but then at the footer, it's reversed. So maybe that style could have been continued. And then one final comment could be that this has a multi-language. So a Finsweet UI kit for WebCloud could have been used and put into the nav, which would give it an extra custom touch instead of going with the default language switcher.
Nice. All right, Joe, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with your comment about the color changing. If we're going to do these color changes, I would prefer the entire screen to change rather than that cut section break. I totally sign on to that. I do like this simplicity. I'm a big fan, and I click through the projects and I see that this website is representative of your work. I'm getting a good feeling of the types of websites you're doing. They're simple, they're clear, and you're focusing on conversion, not fancy design or not special colors or special effects. And that's cool. Good for you. I think this is a representative site for you. Something I would love to see is more project preview. When I go view the project, I'm opening up a new site. I'm opening up something outside of your site, and I have to now click through that site to identify your work. I want to be able to do that, but I also want to get a nice view of your site right from your homepage, whether that's a longer screenshot, maybe a hover effect that scrolls, or maybe some type of product landing page that you just have full screenshots of these inner pages. That's important for me because I want to get an idea of your quality without leaving your website.
Yeah.
So great site. I think just a little bit more work on it. Add some more pages. Don't just focus on anchor scrolling on one page. Grow this site out, and I think you're going to do a great job.
I want to point out, Uros, I'm going to give you a second here, but I want to point out a good thought that somebody in the comments just made here. Andy pointed out that the footer spacing is different on this blog page than it is on the home page, which is in Webflow. Just these things shouldn't happen. Like this should be a symbol, and that way you're not dealing with any of that. So that's a good catch, Andy, in the comments there. Uros, real quick, what are your thoughts here? We're well over the 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I think like one of the things, like if he's focusing on conversions, maybe it's gonna be better that he focuses on one call to action. Just because he has let's talk, and then on the top right he has contact that leads to the contact form, it's better that maybe he just focuses on one flow. Like, is it gonna be Calendly? Is it gonna be contact us? And that he just kind of drives all of the attention there. Now it's kind of let's talk, and then in the footer we have contact that is a completely different kind of idea in general.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, there's some
but
good
other than
touches.
that, like I think everything has been mentioned.
Yeah. Again, this personal touch, Joe, going back to the images, this could be bigger. Like this whole section could be that image, and just like if you're gonna put your face up there, let's put your face up there. So okay, good thoughts. Uros, we'll start with you next time. I feel like we shortchanged you a little bit there, so we'll give you the first crack on the next one. But let's get 45 seconds on the clock, crowd. The link to vote is in the comments. We'll put 45 seconds on the clock. Let's see. Yeah, it's pinned to the top there, crowd, if you'd like to share your scores here. So we are looking for scores on design, overall story. Let's see. I'm going to give that. Okay, story. Yep. Flair is going to be the, what draws you in about the site. Anything that's fancy, fun, playful. And then the usability is how easy is the site to use, navigate, explore, etc. Okay, crowd scores are coming in right now. Okay, crowd scores. Ooh, somebody just dinged them hard with a low score in the crowd. Ooh, y'all are dirty. Y'all are dirty in the crowd today. Okay. All right, let's get this up here. Boom. Okay, so as always, low score first. Who's got the low score on this one? Okay, Rohan. 5.25. Uros is right above that at a 5.50. And then Joe and I are both at a 6. Yeah, both at a 6 here. What's not? Okay, there it goes. That gives us a judge's average of 5.69 with a crowd score of 5.25. Okay, so the crowd wasn't too rough. Crowd was not too rough. They did ding the flare a little bit. So low scores all around on the flare for a combined total score of 5.60. So not a bad score there. Any final advice for Mathias or thoughts there on that site?
I'm going to say keep that nav fixed. I actually missed the blog. We were talking about the blog at the end, and I totally missed it. So keep that nav fixed. Let's easily click through the site. Yeah.
And Uros, I think that was a good catch on the confusing call to action there. If one call to action clicks me to Calendly and the other one to contact. I'm not sure what your primary CTA is there, but that's a good catch. 100%. So. Yep. Okay. Anything exciting happening in the chat? Let's see. I had a feeling the crowd is going to go low. You are right, for sure. Jumping in now, is there a message that shows us how to submit? Real good content. It's at the top. It's pinned in the comment there. You'll see a crowd score link that takes you to a Google form. And so when we throw the 45 seconds up on the clock, that form will be open to take the crowd submissions. And so that's how you'll vote. Okay. So let's look at the next site. It's going to be this POZ Journal.com. I'm going to go ahead and share that in the link for y'all who are watching at home. And this site is going to be reviewed by Rohan. Rohan's walking us through this one. So let's get 5 minutes on the clock. Rohan, you are up.
So, just jumping in at the hero, I think there's just a lot going on. It could have some vertical padding. And then as we scroll on, I really like the emoji vibe. But then I notice at the top, it says 100% free, available on all iOS devices. That is so easily missed. And I think that could have been bigger, more bolder. And with all of the description that's in this section that says journaling is magical, there may be issues with accessibility. The font color for description could have been bolder. As we scroll down, I really like the emoji style that's going on here. And then onto the next section, there's a phone on the right side and it says try me at the bottom. Again, I could have missed that. So it would be great making it bigger and perhaps putting it onto the left side. Moving forward, it's great. And I noticed this toggle dark and light mode doesn't work all the time. And the changing of the colors that happens inside of the phone. So that really confused me because at first I wasn't sure what it is that was changing the color. So maybe having a lighter background would put this app more in focus of that functionality. And then scrolling down, there's another section, and I see that there is a mismatch with the image and the phone. So perhaps cropping that and fitting it in would make that better. And yeah, all in all, I really like the site, but it just needs a few final touches here and there. It, to me, looks like a work in progress.
When you're saying, hey, let me clarify real quick on this section here, are you thinking this is like a misfit at the top here or what?
The daily goal?
Yeah. Like this little section at the top, is that what you're calling out?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I couldn't tell if it was like a card overlay or if it's supposed to be like that, or I don't know. Uros, what are your thoughts as you walk through this thing?
Yeah, so I really like how the app looks in general. One of the feedbacks that I have is like for the journaling is magical. The paragraph seems really, really long. Like nobody's gonna actually go ahead and read that. So I would try to kind of keep it down so that a lot more people are actually gonna read it. And then I'm not quite sure in terms of what do these links do, like the Hagen's the 2012, like Bakey, like all of those links. It's not really sure what do you need to do that, like what do you need to click on those links and what context is there to do on those items. And then moving forward on all of the other ones, I feel like all of the paragraphs might be a little bit too long for people to read. And yeah, I mean, like everything else, like as we already mentioned, is pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I always find a tough balance between the amount of content on the page and like actually telling the story, because sometimes people get into these just headline only sites and it doesn't actually give you any meat. And then sometimes, like you say, the paragraphs can be a little long. So I don't tend to mind this length of a paragraph here. I do think some of these are a little long here. And I think just like these are laid out side to side, I think the hero could be laid out side to side too. I think if this personal mindful journeying app was either that or this needs to be spread out, like make this a lot bigger and put it to me under the fold, like half of it under the fold, so it pulls me to draw down, you know, instead of trying to cram everything in here above the fold. I would like to see maybe move this download the App Store above the image of this hero here and blow this hero image up about two times and put it at the bottom here as an anchor that makes me pull down the site, you know, that draws me into the site. And so it would be something like this on the screen, you know, where I'm like, oh, what? And I'm going to check out the app, you know, because the spacing here just feels like it's a little too tight. And again, the download and, you know, this 100% free, this seems kind of hidden. I don't know. So I agree with the links here. It doesn't relate what these links are really relevant to, you know, why I need to click these. So, and the contrast is a little rough here. So I don't know. Who's our last one? Joe, you're up here.
I do like this site. First reaction, absolutely like it. I'm agreeing with everybody's comments here. I'll make a comment about the emojis. I'm a big fan. I think that you're using emojis in a good way here. We can see that the app is based in emojis. I think this is a really good method for people that can't do custom illustrations or don't want to, or it's against the brand. This feels right. I think the emojis really work here. Something that I think is missing for me is a real view of the app. I am appreciating how we have this play with me type feel on the site with the changing of the colors and the toggle dark mode and the generate prompt, set a daily goal. All of these are interactive on the site, but I don't think it's giving me a real view of what this app is. I would actually much rather see these in MP4s where it's a screen record of somebody actually using it. Like the daily goal. I'm clicking on this. I don't really know what this means. All I see is a number counter. So I would replace those with MP4s or just take it to the next level. You know, I want to see that circle going around. I want it to make sense what that smile today is. So yeah, those are my comments. Great emojis, probably switch to MP4s.
Yeah. And this could be, we've talked about this a number of times when you're selling software, that the credibility of the software is tied to how you present that software. And so I agree with that, Joe, that more real screenshots. This makes me almost feel like some of this is, and maybe it's a real app, but it seems like, you know, maybe it's not fully baked out yet. And I'd like to see a little bit more of that app functionality in there. So, okay. Anyway, those are our thoughts. 5 minutes is up. Countdown is up. Let's see. The scorecard. Is that ready for us, Rohan? Okay.
Yep.
45 seconds on the clock. Crowd, let's get your votes in. Judges, you got 43 seconds now. Again, we're looking for design, story, flair, and usability. Y'all know what you're doing here. Crowd, I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts? So the why I would click to download is really missing. Yeah, Matt Evans is saying feels like the narrative is a little lost, a little confusing. Jay could totally use a 3D globe. Nice. Let's see. Style over informative, Sunsiv. Matt, I tend to agree there. It's a nice looking site, but it doesn't really tell me a lot of what's going on. So those are good points from Matt there. The story, okay. Flair, I don't know. What kind of flair does this site have? Does it make me want to go through? It's pretty easy to use here. So yeah. I mean, it's not a bad site overall. Let's see what the crowd thinks. Let's see what the judges think first, huh? Okay, low score. I'm being rough today. Oh no, Rohan, you being rough today. Okay, Rohan with the low score at a 5.25. I was just above that though with a 5.75. So Rohan and I were close there. Joe comes in right above that at a 6.0 and Uros at a 6.25. So that's a nice little progression there, giving us a judge's average of 5.88. The crowd was a little bit more generous than us here, giving a 6.08 as a total score, so giving us a combined total score of 5.92 for the POZ Journal website. I'd like to see this, even though this I mean, 6 is a fairly, I mean, it's a respectable score on the show here. But I would like to see this as the redemption round candidate. I'd like to see this thing polished up a little bit. This could be, like, this could get exciting, right? Like, this is so close to being something that I think if you're looking for a journaling app and you end up on this site, that you might be interested in checking out. The other thing I didn't see here is any social proof. So just a thought, You know, I don't see any user feedback. I don't see reviews. I'd like to see something that shows me that other people are using this. That's one thing that I didn't hear in the judges' feedback that I wanted to point out here as a final point. So, okay, any final thoughts from the judges there? Nope. All right, cool. So the next site is this Velocity Design, velocity.design. Let's see. So let's get that up on the board. And this one is Joe. This is all you. Oh, okay. I remember seeing this one as it came in.
This is cool.
Yeah. Let me get you 5
cool.
seconds on the clock, and whenever you're ready, Joe.
I'm a fan of this site right away. Just on load, seeing the movement of these assets, seeing the scroll effects, the design, everything is really cool, really unique. Something I think there's too much of is text. As we scroll through this homepage, there's a lot of text, and this feels off-brand for me. That this company obviously does a really good job with graphics. They do a really good job with motion and design. This is really cool stuff. And there's just too much text. I don't really care about that text. I want to see more of your awesome motion skills. I'm also, I'm curious how some of this is done. So I'm very interested in scrolling through this. The flare level for me is way up.
Mm-hmm.
Something I do want to mention, the menu on the top left, first, not a fan. Fix menu on the top left. That's usually where a brand or logo goes. So my first thought was that's your brand logo. On hover, it's the menu. When you open and close the menu fast, it breaks. If you do it slow, if you wait till all the animations happen and then you close it, it works. But if you open and close and open and close, broken. And I believe the reason is the Webflow animations have not fully happened before you start a new Webflow animation. So be aware of that. You got to change that. It's really cool. It's really visual. And I want to see more visual and less text. That's the best way I can put this. That I think this company can even run with all visuals and almost no text. So that's what I'd like to see happen here.
Great. Rohan, what say you?
I love this website. The hero section just blew me away. But as I was checking it on my laptop here, some of the content on the bottom was being cut off. So maybe that's something they need to look into with responsiveness. And yeah, I don't have comments. I agree with Joe, wherein they could do more with graphic assets and lesser content. Yeah.
I got a real strong feeling against that statement from both of you about the text. I think the text is like nice and chunky, right? It's digestible. And it's really not, right? You got a little paragraph here. These are, like, I guess I'm okay, right? I don't know that I need this extra text here, but I don't know that it hurts, right? Like, I don't know that I'm seeing too much text on this page. So my initial thought is not necessarily, I think there's a good balance here of visual continuity. These little, I love these little raindrops, this little streak, whatever that is, that makes me want to get to the next section. And again here, right? Like nice visual, wide open text, and a little bit of text, a little explore link. This is a little, I'm not sure how I feel about this call to action click here. I like what it looks like. It's just not super clear, especially when that disappears. Do I need to come over here to click? I don't know. I'm not sure that's the best interaction there, but again, here, a nice visual in the background with just these little 3 chunks of text. I guess maybe these could be just shortened out a little bit, or maybe they expand as you go through, or I don't know, but I tend to kind of just in general disagree with the amount of too much text here. I do think it's visually stunning. Uros, what do you say? You got the final minute here.
Yeah, so I think there is too much text. Like example, like UI, UX, user interface design, and there's like a list. Usually clients don't, I don't think they're looking for every single specific little thing that you can do. They're more looking at a general picture. So just because of that, I would kind of reduce the text and focus, as we said, kind of more interactions. Then kind of the next thing is like, I haven't seen a lot of the works actually, just because like there is the client, but you can't, because the way it's laid out, I can't actually kind of notice that it's a real client of some sort. I would love to see a lot more client work actually here on the homepage, and a more clear path to go and explore more of the client work, because right now it's kind of on the bottom right. And then when you click explore, for me, it ended up in a blank screen. I'm not sure why that happened, but it might be a strange occurrence to happen.
Yeah,
Happened to me too. Happened to me too. I'm always getting lost with the menu. I think this team has to rebuild the menu completely. There's a lot of broken parts to it.
Yeah, this seems like it's visually, it's got a lot of things pulling me in here. The flare scores are going to be real high on this one. But again, the usability, even a few people in the comments here are saying, where is it? Peter, as lovely as the graphics are, I think they could have done more QA and usability testing. Magdalena saying, yeah, twice worked the third time. And there was like there's some jittery moments here where like some of this it's a little like jarring. It's not like the smoothest transition in some of the phases. So again, while I think there's so much here, I think it is a little confusing, Joe, when you talked about the navigation and kind of getting around it. And so I'll be interested to see what the scores come in at. Let's get the crowd scores opened up here. Horizontal text on scroll.
And I'd love to do
Go ahead.
A final comment here from the judges. I'm clicking into their work and I'm looking at the actual work, and the work is fantastic. I mean, I'm clicking through these projects and everything is visual, everything is beautiful. And I had to click 3 levels into your website to go and find that. This should be on the homepage. I didn't know how good you were until I clicked through the website, and a lot of people are going to bounce before that. So be more visual. You got to show this great work. It's really good and it's hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, a section like this, when you get into that work section, you get these beautiful little hero sections here. You could slide, some of this could slide into the homepage, you know, like this is at least maybe 1 or 2, just something to show like, hey, with a link to, hey, come check the rest of the work. So I agree. Beautiful work deserves beautiful visual expression on the portfolio there. So, all right, let's see it. We got 45 seconds. Crowd scores are open. Judges, you know what to do. Audience, let's see. Work 10-10, but it's hidden behind a few doors. Matt, good point here. Kai, hero scroll, text, spelt scroll. Okay. So maybe there's some missing text there. Okay. Andy with some good points here. Horizontal text on scroll. It's a bit clunky. Okay. Yep. All right. Well, y'all know how to do. We're looking for a design score. It's overall design and aesthetic of the website. The story is, you know, what the content actually says. Flair is the fun stuff of the website, and the usability is where I think this site might get dinged. So, okay. Yeah. Let's see what the judges had to say about all that. I'll take this to the home page. All right, low score starts it out as, oh, wow, we've got a 3-way tie. I don't think this has ever happened on the show today. And it's not just a 3-way tie on the final score. It's like the whole scoring metric is identical for all 3. I don't think we've ever... Rohan, you screwed this up, man. You screwed this up by not being on the bandwagon here, okay? This is supposed to be a 4-way judges sweep. Okay, so 6.0, design, the next 3 scores are identical. So design is high, story's a little, you know, like this could tell me more of a story. Flair, we all agree, through the roof. And then the usability is a little rough because of the menu and some of the things we talked about. So both Joe, Uros, and I had the exact same scores here. So 8, 5, 8, and 3. Rohan thought there was a little bit more story. So that's where we deferred. And Rohan came in with a 7.0, which gives us a total combined judges average of 6.25. The crowd was pretty in line with us, actually, with the 3 judges that tied up here. 7.8, 4.6, 8.4, 3.8, leading us to 6.15 cumulative score for a total combined score of 6.23 on the site. Man, I thought this would score a little higher. I really think that usability brought this thing down quite a bit. Even just another point or 2 on usability, and this would have been an 8 average, a 7, 8, easily, yeah, higher. So this would be a great redemption round too. I think this goes to point out that like sometimes you get to a site like this and you see that initial impact, that initial like wow factor, and you're like, oh, this is that, like this is that fire right here. And then you start digging in, and it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and so yeah, first appearances are not always what they seem. So Cameron Brown, as someone who just finished designing their first site for a client, how would I go about getting it critiqued? That is a fantastic question, Cameron. We're going to give you the link right now. So let me grab this link. I think it's in the description of the video though, but we'll go ahead and share this in the comments right now. Boom. You can send it to Airtable right there. So, and Kai is pointing out a couple typos. So just FYI, handcrafted cyber there on that Velocities design. There are a couple typos there. So, okay. The last website today is going to be this tompigott.co-uk. Let's share that in the comments here. Okay. And this one is going to be Uros. You are up again. Let's get the 5 minutes on the clock. Website is up on the screen, and whenever you're ready.
Sure. So yeah, I really like starting off like the imagery that he went ahead and kind of got his own photo. Kind of that really draws me in and gets a personal touch. But looking at that, he is kind of a UI designer or not seen in the hero. Then kind of moving to the bottom, like we have the mouse over interaction, but usually this is in a sort of a slider or something on websites. So I was kind of confused the first time I saw this and how it in general works, that it's actually on the mouse and that you can kind of explore all of these at one glance. I really like how he can explain the process, just because a lot of clients are actually lost on kind of what needs to be done. So the really kudos on having the proper process and kind of guiding the clients through that. In terms of the cost, I wouldn't say that this is kind of a thing that you need to put on the homepage. This is something maybe you can put in the contact form if you start getting a lot of leads, and you maybe want to kind of just filter out the people that don't want to work for you. But I wouldn't say that this is thing that you need to kind of put down directly on the homepage to show. And then after that, yeah, I mean, like there are other items like Rohan was mentioning, like kind of hover, like accessibility, like for hover interactions, that like the button doesn't have any hovers. And then in the hero, I'm not quite sure why did he leave his referral link in the hero, because you're kind of, people are already probably know what Webflow is, and I'm not sure is that a great place to add the referral link to.
Yeah, good points. Joe, what are your thoughts here?
I'll disagree with the cost statement. I think the cost on the homepage is great. You're going to get people off of this site. If they are not willing to pay, you're going to get people interested and thinking about contacting you if this is within their budget range. So I like the cost on the homepage. And yeah, I even like that it's underlined. There's no misconception of how much it costs to work with Tom. I like that. I'm going to be really picky about the blue color. I see the blue color is the primary color here, and I want to see it used for something more specific. I like it for the book your meeting button. This is great. And then we see it as a background color for the footer, and we see it as a background color for the testimonials just under the hero. I would much rather change that color and keep that blue for your logo and for your primary call to actions. We see it in process with 1 and 6, and I just want a little bit more uniformity in how is this blue being used? Why is this blue being used? However, it is clear. When I look through your site, it looks clear. It looks like it's part of the brand, and it does work. That's a very picky statement about the blue. Overall, I'm liking the site. It's clear, it's obvious. I'm also going to agree with that little effect in the hero. I think if you cut yourself out, do a little Photoshop cutout, and just add a little bit of depth to that, it's going to make that initial view to your website just a little bit more next level.
Yeah.
Overall, great site, Tom. And yeah, great work.
Rohan, what are you thinking here?
I really like this site. I love the fact that he's got his picture straight in the hero. And I think he's used the Finsweet cookie consent, which I really love.
Yep.
So yeah, great going there. And then scrolling all the way to the bottom, start your project today. So the privacy policy and the terms and conditions are it's black, so it's more visible than the rest of the text, which to me, I would make that lighter and reverse the effect there, because it seems too official, like, click on that, check it out before you book a meeting. So that could be smaller, maybe a different color. That's about it. Apart from that, I really love the site.
Yeah. I'm going to point out a couple things. I think it's a good site, right? It tells the story of Tom here. Just a couple inconsistency things that I think you shouldn't be happening with Webflow. These are things that happen in WordPress because every button's a new instance and you don't have global classes and stuff, but there's just things that shouldn't be happening in Webflow that I'd like to point out here. This button doesn't have any hover, but when you get down to these buttons, they do. And I don't know why those aren't the same button class. Same thing up here in the hero, right? It's just a different button. It's exact same style. So this is just something to point out. Using consistent classes in Webflow is one of the reasons why Webflow is special. And so I would just really encourage, if you're watching this, you can help eliminate some of those inconsistencies by just using, again, the buttons could even all be symbols if you want to take it to the next level. That way it's all one element and you could just override the text, or at least put the same class on that. And I tend to agree, even these images don't really tell me what's going on with this project. Did you create this image? Is this a stock image? These don't, I don't know. Did you coordinate this image? So what about this? An e-commerce site selling medical testing gated by memberships. But is this just an image of some stock thing? Because this is the site, the picture you picked at the top. I kind of want to see, okay, now it makes sense because I see the work, and I see the picture in the context. And so a shot like this helps me understand that this is a web design project more so than just this, because this looks like some blog article or some taboola style clickbait at the bottom of some blog. It's just an image of medical stuff, and it doesn't really give me that personal touch, right? You open up with a personal touch. Hey, Tom, what's up? I like Tom. Good to see you. But then I get down here and I'm like, where's that personal touch? This stuff all just kind of feels like it has less of that refinement to me. And so anyway, I do like it. I think it's fairly simple and clean. It's easy to navigate. But it doesn't really give me a lot of that punch or wow that I might expect here. So anyway, just my thoughts. 5 minutes are long past up. Let's go ahead and get the score sheet open while I take a quick look to see what the crowd is saying. I do apologize. I didn't share the link in the... Maybe I did. Okay. Let's see. Personal preference. I like buttons to animate on hover. Yeah, exactly. Love the cheeky Webflow affiliate link in the hero, Matt. So yeah. So some people say yay. Some people say nay to the affiliates. I don't have a problem with the Webflow affiliate link. If I'm just looking for a web design and I bump into Tom's site and I explore Webflow, maybe I know about it. Maybe I don't. Maybe I was just looking for a website and I don't really know about Webflow, so I don't have too much of a problem with that. But let's get the 45 seconds on the clock and get the judges' scores in.
Nav is because that is a Calendly embed. If we open up Inspector and look at this is a straight embed, and this is being generated through Calendly.
Got it.
Now, there's a few ways around this. I would approach this with JavaScript using a different button as a click trigger to interact with Calendly. Maybe that worked, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, it's not as simple as it is just lining up your classes in Webflow.
Yeah.
But still, Tom, something to look at. I do think important. Keep that uniform.
That's a good point. And it's so easy to just redirect to a page or send somebody to a page. I'm not sure it's imperative for that to load right in line. It depends on this. You could. I
agree.
You could create a beautiful custom modal that then loads the modal with the embed actually in it. And so that way the embed is native and you can customize what that little calendar modal looks like. So there's other ways to solve that that would allow some consistency there. So, okay, let's look at the scores. As always, we start at the lowest, and that's me again. I'm sorry, Tom.
Oh,
5.5 here. My big ding was on the flare. To be honest, I don't think there's nothing here that pulls me in. this felt almost like a WordPress kind of template-y thing for me. So Joe gives it a 6.0, a little bit higher than that. Uros is 6.75. Rohan is at a 7.0. And the judges' average comes in at 6.31. So our combined score is 6.31. The crowd was even harsher. So we got a 5.4 from the crowd. That gives us a total combined score of 6.06 for Tom Pigott. Tom, this would be a great redemption round candidate here. I think it's so close to being, like a really top level web design portfolio. But I think like some of these sections, I think could just use a little bit more character. Tom, I think you got a little bit more character to show us. I think you got a little bit more style and personality that you could somehow show us through this site a little bit, and I think that would just take it to the next level. So any final thoughts here from the crowd? Let's go to this view, and let's check in with the audience. And any thoughts from the judges panel here?
We have a funny comment from Peter in the audience. Scores do tend to be getting harsher as the weeks go on. Is that a trend? Is this happening?
Maybe we're getting a little rougher. That's probably to be expected, though. I think when we started, like you just start throwing numbers out there and you don't really know what's going on. You just you try to be objective. But I think, once you start seeing more, I think, we probably are getting a little more strict with folks here. Rohan, what do you think? You've been watching all the shows here. Are we getting harder? Are we getting rougher with people?
I think the comments are getting much better. So probably the score is going in line with the feedback.
Yeah, I think the first 2 episodes were us just all saying that's clean a lot.
Yeah.
Now we're expert critiquers.
That's right. Uros, what do you think as your first experience here on the show?
Yeah, so I think it's much easier maybe for them to give a lower score as they're not kind of on the cam and kind of showcasing the website, and then you can throw whatever score you want to.
Yeah. Let's see. Cameron says he submitted
and
his site.
Here's another good one. In the beginning, we were cherry picking sites. If you remember the first few episodes, we didn't have any user submissions, so we were cherry picking some of the coolest sites that we found online. Now we're having really organic submissions, real people trying to build a freelance career or an agency or a small business. So it's a different type of site. And we're also hearing a lot of, this is great for a redemption round, which is great. I mean, once we start seeing these redemption rounds, I can't wait to align the before and the after together.
Yeah. Somebody was saying here about video filters are broken on YouTube page. I guess there's a little bit of loss of refinement on this Tom Pigott design as you get into some of the other stuff, but that's okay. We kind of tend to focus on the homepage and the couple top hero sites. So, but that's a good point, Joe. I think as the show evolves, a lot of this will evolve too. Uros, your first time on as a guest judge. What are your thoughts? Tell us what's going on here.
Well, I would say it's a lot harder than it seems like. Like when you watch it from your screen, like it seems like it's pretty easy to give out comments, but when you actually need to give them out loud, it's kind of hard to think of what's good, like to fit into that 1 minute and not kind of go over.
Yeah, especially when some 3 other people have gone before you.
Well, I guess you noticed you noticed that I kind of ran out of the comments like the time that 3 other people were before me. That was kind of looking for something to say.
Yeah, and we don't look at these sites. Like, we don't spend a ton of time reviewing these sites ahead of time. We're seeing these kind of cold as we come through. I do review all the sites, so as they come in, I'm the one that kind of pulls them and schedules them for the shows. And so I do kind of take a look at them before, but most of the judges don't see the sites until real time. And so part of me likes that it's like it's a new intro to the site. It's, we're getting those candid first look perspective. New critique redemption stream. Maybe that's what we have to do is once we need to put a qualifier on the submission form. I need to put a checkbox that says this is a redemption round. And what we'll do is we'll queue up a bunch of those redemptions and we'll have a full episode just for redemption round. I think that's a good idea, Jay.
Nice.
Jay saying it's just real world now. I think that's probably going back to the scoring comment. So yeah, maybe we've actually settled into a groove of being accurate with the scoring. Let's see, anything else in the comments here? Yep, just kind of some feedback from what's going on with the sites. Really good content. Where do we submit? We shared that earlier. It's in the description of the video. So if you go into the video description, there's a link to both apply to be a judge, which is how we got Uros up here, right? He was one of the first few people to apply to be a judge. We now have, maybe I'll explain how that works. We now have a system. So if you apply to be a judge, I've got automation set up in Airtable. So once we check out your portfolio a little bit and we say, okay, we're going to hit the button. It's going to send you an invite email to go ahead and book your time to come be a judge. And then from there, we send you the instructions for how it all works. And you get to come and be a guest judge on Critique. And so we'd really like to, get as much audience participation on that. We are looking for some female judges. We've been all male, I think, since the beginning of this show. And so we've got a couple requests out to some female judges so we can kind of change the demographics a little bit here on the show. I think a little bit, I think a lot of times like we take a masculine energy when we approach, and so sometimes having that, like we've had a few sites that are like female submitted and you could tell they're like a little softer, and it would be interesting just to get a variation of opinions on that. So if you're out there watching this and you'd like to be on the show, we'd love to have you. Check the description and apply as a judge. If you want us to review your site, go ahead and submit that there too. Any other thoughts, Joe, Rohan, Uros? What's the final thoughts going through your head here?
It's great to see everybody back. We're seeing a dedicated audience coming back week after week, enjoying the content. We have a steady stream of watchers throughout the whole episode. So that's awesome. That keeps us happy. That keeps all of you happy. And that's why we continue to do this. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Somebody's talking about your hedge, Joe. Matt Evans, is that a real hedge behind you? And somebody asked the other day, I forgot to address the comment, but they were like, how often do you have to trim that hedge? Fake hedge, real Joe, Kai Jolly says. Uros, final thoughts. What can we do better? What can we do different? What would you like to see us do on the show? Like, yeah, give us some feedback here. You give us a critique.
Yeah, so that is like kind of just one idea that I got that I sent you actually in the email is maybe also reviewing the preview links of the websites and kind of guiding the Webflow build process. Kind of could they have done something like more global? How is it built? Like maybe something can be built a lot simpler and kind of start reviewing the back end of Webflow also, because I think that's going to be pretty fun for the audience. But everything else is pretty great and it's a pretty fun experience. And hopefully like we can get back again in that redemption round.
Yeah. What might be interesting as a consideration is to do like a deep dive of one website each week or something like that, where we dive into the back end of Webflow and look at the class structure, look at the naming conventions, we look at the interactions. We can really dive into that. So the hard part is that we don't always get the preview link, with the projects. And so unless it's like in the showcase so maybe we can just add that. We can add the preview link to the Airtable form. And if somebody wants us to do that, we can consider that. We have thought about it. The other thing that comes to mind is like, you could get lost in the weeds, right? You could end up spending 20, 30 minutes going through a site in detail. And so maybe that has to be its own little segment, or that's some of the stuff for like the workshop stuff that we're playing with. So but that's a good idea. It's crossed our mind. We're just trying to figure out the best way to put that together. Let's see, Rohan, any final thoughts?
No, all good here. I just agreed with Uros's comment earlier that it's easy to be in the audience, but not as a judge, because I'm just so nervous all the time.
Yeah. It's a different dynamic when you're like live in front of the camera and you can't, like everyone's watching right now. You can't. There's no retakes. There's no do-overs. It's just like, this is it. So part of me likes that of it. Okay, well, I think that's it. Eunice says invite Colleen. Yeah, Colleen would be a great guest on this, so we will for sure do that. Peter Blanchford, that's a really interesting idea. Let's see. Oh, isn't that Clone Comp? Yeah, kind of. We do some of that in Clone Comp. We go review the sites. We don't really dive into the back end, but if you haven't heard, Clone Comp is going to be killer this year, July 20th through 23rd. clonecomp.webflow.io. It's going to be the biggest Webflow hackathon of the year. We will be back next week with another episode of Critique. Effin' Growth is back. We're gonna listen, next week we're nervous. Rohan, you want to talk about nervous? Joe and I are doing a show next week called What Webflow Gets Wrong. And, we spend most of our time praising this company and talking about how amazing Webflow is. We love the product. We're obviously building our business around this. We spend all of our time kind of, praising this platform. So we're going to do an episode next week about what we think they get wrong. Some candid feedback, process stuff, communication stuff, community things. And so if you've got any feedback, if you have any ideas, if you have some thought you'd like to share with us on that, feel free to send us email. You can reach out to communications@finsweet.com with that. And otherwise, we'll catch you next week. Yeah, Effin' Growth and Critique, Tuesday and Thursday, every day at noon. We'll see y'all later. Okay. Oh yeah, kill the stream. Bye, everyone.